Hello, my name is attorney Annabelle Catania, and today I'm going to speak to you about custody in the state of Florida. In 2008, we wrote the word custody out of our statutes. Why? Because it sounds like one person has more of a right to a child than the other parent, when you both have equal rights to be involved in your children's lives. When the term custody existed, it was in two parts: legal custody and physical custody. When we talk about legal custody today, we talk about parental responsibility. And when we talk about physical custody, we talk about time sharing. Legal custody, or what we now call as parental responsibility, is an assumption that both parties will have shared parental responsibility. What does that mean? That means in non-emergent situations, both parents need to be involved in making the decisions for their child, such as medical, schooling, anything that is non-emergent. Of course, if there's an emergency that's going to put your child at risk, you as the parent have the right to take care of it, but make sure that you tell the other parent. When we talk about that as well, there's many times where a parent wants sole parental responsibility and they want to be able to make the decisions for their children themselves. I've heard numerous times, well, during our marriage, Dad always worked and I made all the decisions and he just went along with it. Or I was the only parent that went to parent-teacher conferences or things like that. But you have to realize that your household, in a complete household with both mom and dad, or mom and mom, however that may be, or dad and dad, will look different after the divorce is entered, or after the paternity action and you're living in separate houses. Why? Because now one parent that maybe had all the responsibility before will have times when they do not have the children, and the other parent will have to take that responsibility, which they may have not had in your intact relationship. A court is not going to order you sole parental responsibility just because you had the majority of tasks during your relationship. They are going to take into consideration the best interests of the child. Has the other parent done something that would put the child in harm's way? Has the parent done anything to the child that would directly affect the child? There are felons in prison for for white collar crimes or whatever it may be that still have shared parental responsibility of their children. So you can't even look at it as that. You need to consider the whole picture. When we talk about time sharing, or what was called physical custody, so now we call it time sharing, the courts require now in the state of Florida all parents to establish a parenting plan. That parenting plan has to establish how you're going to exchange the children, the time sharing for each parent during a normal week, during summer, during holidays, and what your general responsibilities are to each other in communication and with the child as parents. As of July 1st, 2023, the courts now have a presumption that each parent will have 50-50 time sharing. And you might be saying, I can't live without my children. I can't understand how the other parent's going to do 50-50. We're not talking week on, week off necessarily for all families. Your family dynamic may be different. You may have a parent that works 24-hour shifts, so a 50-50 schedule with them will not look like what your neighbor may have with their spouse. Also, when your children are younger, those time sharing plans are going to look a lot different than when you have older children to accommodate the needs, such as small children shouldn't be away from either parent for too many days at a time. It's not good for them. A longer time period may be good for older children because that gives them more stability and time to have their own lives as they're getting older. So one of the things that you need to take into account is that presumption of 50-50. But also understand that the court is always tasked with the best interest of the children. If 50-50 time sharing is not in the best interest of your children and you can overcome the preponderance of the evidence standard, the court will not require each parent to have 50-50 with the children, because it's just not simply in their best interest. So there are things that you can do, but Don't do it just because you want to spite the other parent. If you truly believe that another parent, because of their work schedule, cannot accommodate a 50-50, you might have it look a little bit different, but still have a 50-50 when you look at the year in an entire macro sense versus a micro sense, looking at it month by month. Or you might just have to simply adjust it, and the other parent may not even want 50-50 time sharing. So just keep that in mind. We here at Legal Counsel PA would love to help you if you have any questions about custody, or what we now call parental responsibility and time sharing. Please give us a call.